Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're watching this in some different time zone or sometime in the future, my name is Jay Berkowitz, and welcome to this month's live stream event. We've got an awesome panel, and we're going to uncover some of the newest technology tools for lawyers. Today, we called it Automate, Communicate, and Innovate. You'll meet our expert panel in just 1 minute, but I just wanted to kick off and sort of give us a template for the technology space for lawyers. And I wanted to start with let's think of where someone starts with the technology, with their interaction with a law firm, and where does technology integrate? So, first of all, people might come in as a referral. They might come from another attorney. They might come from a chiropractor or a medical facility. A vast majority of our business is tracking from Google. Obviously, there's social media. All kinds of different references. And of course, you want them coming from your SEO and your website. So the technology starts as soon as you initiate a lead and as soon as you can start tracking and getting that information. So we do a lot of work with different technology, simple things like call tracking numbers and intake technology to try and add as much data, because knowledge is power. We want to add as much data as possible to finding out when leads are coming in. So then the next step is you're going to actually interface with those opportunities. And you all have met Intaker Chat on a couple of these live events in the past, or your call center. And as a matter of fact, next month, we're going to be talking about intake and how important it is to have excellence in your intake. And we're going to give you some great strategies for really, really awesome call center folks and intake strategies. So, step one, someone's interested in hiring an attorney. Step two, you're going to use technology. Hopefully, we highly recommend having a chatbot on your website and having really great intake and then really great data again. We're tracking exactly where the leads are coming from and tracking the performance of the intake professionals. Now, the next step, there could be sort of an interim step. And you guys have met Lead Docket before. It's a Filevine product. And there's 2 or 3 competitors in the marketplace. But that's a really great tool for tracking the leads, assigning the leads, and keeping track of, Mrs. Smith called, Mrs. Jones calls, Mr. Johnson called, and getting all 3 of those leads into the hands of different intake professionals or attorneys if they're going to be following up and trying to get those folks signed up. So a tool like Lead Docket might be next on the hit list. Now, once those leads are entered, they're going to go into your CRM. And so a CRM or a case management system, actually, I guess technically Lead Docket is a CRM. And then Suio is starting to play in this space. And you're going to meet Ed from Suio in a minute. And your case manager, we've had Smart Advocate, we've had Litify on here in the past. Filevine are typically the case management systems going to track all the cases and then what's happening in those cases. And then today we're going to meet Case Status. And Case Status is a really incredible tool. Y'all have met Hona before. And Case Status is an incredible tool. Think of it like a banking app is how they describe it, like a banking app for your clients. And they can find out exactly what's going on in the bank, what your balance is, where transfers went. You can download reports. And so Case Status is a great app that makes your customers really happy. And one of the biggest complaints in the Bar Association is, I don't know what's going on with my case. So today we're gonna go through the tech stack a little bit. I'm going to skip the marketing piece because y'all have hopefully seen a few of these webinars. If you haven't, you can go to 10 Golden Rules and go to our YouTube page. And there's amazing content. Like I recently just did a webinar on the 6 parts of Google and all 6 ways that you can get leads from Google. The new AI, we covered the new AI, the new artificial intelligence results, and how you can get listed at the very top of the page in AI. We've covered the local service ads, Google Screened, talked about SEO, Google Maps, pay-per-click, and the mystery number 6 part of the 6 parts of Google is YouTube, because Google owns YouTube. It's actually the 2nd most highest traffic website in the world. A lot of people search directly for things on YouTube, and we're optimizing videos for our SEO. So how do you get that initial traffic? We've covered that topic in a lot of depth. And then the second piece, as I mentioned, the intake and the tracking piece, we're doing that next month. Today, we're going to talk about Suio is going to be one of the tools for managing those cases. So sort of that case management piece and case status. And then we've got another secret weapon that you're going to meet shortly. So without further ado, I want to introduce my friend, Edward Kirk. We've hung out at a couple conferences. We've done a webinar, got to know each other on 3 or 4 calls, and we've introduced Suio to some folks. And I think 14 people from the conference we were at together have hired Suio and started using the product. It's a combination of amazing technology, AI, and without further ado, I'm going to let Ed tell you more about it. So Ed, are you gonna share slides?
Yeah, I've got some slides. So
Okay. I'll stop sharing and over.
Yeah, there we go. I've got it. Hopefully you guys can see this all right.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jay. Well, thanks for the introduction. Thanks for having me. And I can testify to Jay's YouTube presentations. They are fantastic. So I'm Edward Kirk. I head up partnerships at Suio. In a former life, I spent 7 years as a litigator in London. I'm now based in Toronto in Canada, Jay's country, but you're based in Florida, I know.
I lived in Toronto for about 15 years.
But there you go.
Jay's World Series.
So I spent in my time as a litigator, I spent a lot of time in data, in medical data, in financial data, the manual page turn, in the weeds of documents, trying to find the needles in a haystack. What Suio is a AI native tool designed specifically for plaintiff lawyers. I'll give a little bit of insight about what AI native means, but essentially we are built around the data that our firms use and work in every day, whether it's medical records, medical bills, trial data like depositions, witness testimony, expert reports. We create this house where you can interact with that data using AI, and we build the refinements, build the customizations to create this experience where personal injury lawyers are able to find the insights in the case, do summarization, do drafting of motions, of demands. So it gives them this space where they can work in their data right from the beginning of their case all the way to the end. And I'll show you what that actually looks like in real life. But I'll touch on a little bit about AI today, because I feel often it's a bit of the Wild West. All of these companies out there slap AI on their banners, and I feel for consumers it's difficult to understand, like what are we really looking at here? But what the right AI can deliver for firms is really significant. For me, the age we're living in now is the biggest shakeup to legal practice since the dawn of email or word processing 30, 35 years ago. This is where technology has really come to a place where we've wanted to be for a long time, to help us to analyze complex documents, to help us with drafting. And all of that equates to speeding up cases, to being able to free up time to do the human things, like getting back to clients, and helping ultimately to win more cases. So as I said, though, this is a Wild West period, and not all AI are built for the same things. You have LexisNexis or Westlaw building their AI to help with legal research, and you've got tools like Practice Management System or email that are now having AI add-ons. So they weren't originally built with AI in mind. And for us, what we hear a lot at conferences is lawyers using ChatGPT to analyze medical data. And not only is that sort of unethical, like if you ask ChatGPT, are you HIPAA compliant? They'll tell you no. And not only that, it's not designed for the task. It doesn't understand these complex documents. in the way that we have trained our technology to do it. So be mindful of the task that you're using AI for, because ultimately we don't want to have unreliable results, because we've all heard about hallucinations. We've heard the cautionary tales of New York lawyers using ChatGPT for their legal research. We need to be using the right technology that cites its sources, that shows you how it's done its workings, shows you the source data so you can rely on it, validate it. The other issues is that it could come to the wrong conclusions if you're not using it appropriately. And ultimately, if you're implementing this technology at your firm, you'll lose the trust of your staff, and you'll just be paying for technology that you're not using, which is the worst of all worlds. And as well as I touched on, you need the technology to be HIPAA compliant in the case of medical data, or to take care of the data. For us, we comply with GDPR, which is a sort of data standard, to have processes and controls in place to take care of data, because this is sensitive data. So need to be mindful of those risks. So, and I'll move forward here quickly, but essentially what you're looking for is AI that is purpose-built to understand the data that you're looking for. For our case, what we do is we include humans in the loop in order to aid our AI to understand the data. We have something called annotation, which is we structure data to enable our AI to extract the data accurately. And we also contain your data. We put it in a silo so that that's all it's looking at when it's trying to find a response to your question. And all of this sort of comes together, and I'll show you now what we do at Suio to give you this result of an AI native solution. So we started with what the experience would be like for a firm using AI in their practice, and then we structured the data around it to help the AI to understand it and use the data. So what you have for us as a starting point for our firms is a medical chronology that they can interact with an AI assistant. So here is the kind of the user experience for our firms with Suio. So on the right-hand side, you see our medical chronology, and on the left, the chat experience. So this is a baby formula net case that we do a lot of work in for mass tort firms. And on the right-hand side, you have this digital medical chronology that is condensed. If you click on any of the cards here, you get a more detailed overview. And you can search this with a keyword search, filter by the event type, or filter by person, segment by date. Gives you really easy navigation tools to move around the timeline. But then on the left, what you see is you have this AI assistant that has been built around the medical data. It uses a foundation model that's been refined and customized for personal injury, mass tort lawyers. And then what you can do is ask it to summarize a case, ask it for the insights. When was the neck first diagnosed? Or use it as an AI colleague to help you to prep for a deposition, or use it live, which is what our client in this case did, Tor Horman in Missouri, when they were going up to battle against Abbott Labs in their baby formula case. They were using Suio to find insights from 40,000 pages of medical records at their fingertips during trial, and they ultimately won a $500 million verdict. So what you can see, for me, using this compared to my experience as being a lawyer a few years ago, is that is a much more enjoyable experience, right? You can find the insights at your fingertips while also finding those citations to verify the information you are getting. We also help firms with other types of data. And this has been a real push for us at our company with something called Deep Dive. Essentially, Deep Dive is a container where firms can load in documents. They're usually text-based, like a deposition, like a witness testimony, like an expert report, and use Deep Dive to summarize or to extract information. I've had lawyers in Phoenix tell me that they use Suio to depose and impeach a defense expert. So what they did was they loaded in the defense expert's prior reports and then ask it to find recurring statements that would indicate that their report was built on a template. I've heard of trucking lawyers using it to load in depositions from of the trucking companies that they've been deposing, asking it to find references to negligent practices like negligent hiring or negligent drug testing, and getting those quotes, and then asking it to draft a motion for summary judgment using the quotes. So, and doing this all in minutes. It's not the final product, but for our firms, it's essentially like a time machine. It's giving them the ability to speed up the way they do things and create that initial starting point so the experienced lawyer can come in and add the finesse, add their experience to it. Another area which our firms are really excited about is what we do in medical bills. This is an area that up until now has involved incredible manual labor to be able to extract the line items from bills, match them to medical records, and create a ledger of what has been billed, what has been adjusted, what's been paid, and been created, paid by whom, by the insurer or by the client. What you see here is a ledger that has done the entire work for a firm, reducing human labor, removing human error from the process, and ultimately creating a work product that they can use in their case right away. It doesn't require them to excuse me, just get that back playing. Doesn't require them to do any labor in the creation of this document. And what they can do is they can extract it into an Excel document and then work it up from there. And you can see it cites the source document at all stages, so they can look at that as well. Another cool feature is that we have this lien eligibility feature where firms can check whether the lien that is in the records is eligible to claim based on the incident, based on the injuries. It's a nice little fun overlay of AI into the experience. Finally, what our firms are also excited for is leveraging AI to help them with drafting. So something that we do at Suio is we draft the demand package for our firms based on their template and on their header. But what they can do now is tailor the letter leveraging AI. So they can ask it to change the tone of the letter. They can upload documents that have subsequently come to light. For example, perhaps a life care report has come to light after the document was drafted. And what they can do is ask the AI to use the data in that document to redraft a section and do it within a matter of seconds. What I used to find when I was in practice was that the blank page was the hardest place to start. And what we're doing at Suio is giving our firms the ability to leverage their own templates, their structure, the framework, and the house style of those templates, and then connect them with the data that's been cleaned up, the medical data, to help them with drafting, to speed up the delivery of the tasks that they have in their day-to-day work. So just to cap off, Suio lives in the medical data, the medical bills and data of our firms, and produces these features for them to interact with the data as required. So if you'd like to learn more, reach out to us via our website, or you can contact me directly. Back to you, Jay.
That was great, Ed. Thanks for sharing. As I mentioned to the panelists, I always like to have a couple great questions. because hopefully I come with a perspective that helps clarify. So you touched on this very, very briefly, but one of the things that's excited everybody about Suio was this story about the firm that won a $500 million verdict, and they gave a ton of credit to Suio. So it's kind of like having this secret weapon with you in trial, this secret little trial superstar trial attorney with you in your briefcase or in your laptop. Tell us the story of that super case verdict.
Yeah, so that was the Tor Hormon's case in their battle against Abbott Labs, baby formula, essentially, for people that don't know, for babies born with NEC, basic premature babies with this illness, they're often they often use baby formula milk. And this milk provided by Abbott Labs has been shown to increase the issue of NEC and it can severely disable babies and also cause fatalities as well. So really horrible illness. And so in this case, actually, Tor Horman came to us and said, could you create this environment that would enable us to search across these thousands of pages of medical records, which is 40,000 in this specific case alone. And it required us to build a model specific to this mass tort, to the baby formula cases, to understand the data and understand what data to pull, and then give their lawyers this chat function to be able to access the data in real time in trial. So, if they're hearing from the defense arguments that don't add up or from the witness, they were able to access that data in real time and counter them then and there, which obviously, if you're in a mediation or on the phone to an adjuster, to be able to do that shows an incredible confidence in your case, to be able to pull the data, not just in an answer, but also access the document in question to share. If you go to page X, you'll see where this reference is, and that is, as you say, Jay, a superpower.
That's fantastic. So, second question, I guess Suio is really not a CRM or a case manager. It's more a combination of different tools. I'll talk about that in a sec. But does it interact? Like, does it connect directly to the prominent legal case managers?
Yeah, that's right. There is some overlap. You'll see practice management solutions today creating solutions similar to what Suio does. But what we do is connect with the majority of practice management systems today to streamline the way that data flows into us and also flows back to the practice management system. From my perspective, practice management systems are a wonderful and necessary tool. However, when you're creating technology, it requires incredible focus to create something that does a brilliant job for what it is. In Suio's case, we focus solely on medical records, medical bills, and understanding that data and creating a native AI solution that is built specifically for that purpose. So the two perfect bed buddies in that sense, because they fill in perhaps a gap that their practice management system won't be able to have access to.
So it's like 10 golden rules. We decided to stop doing internet marketing for everybody, and now we only do internet marketing for law firms. And we got really, really focused and really, really good at it. If if like a case manager is trying to also be experts at medcrons or whatever, they're probably, they'll eventually get there, but it's not going to be their core competency. So like in my mind, and I just maybe correct me if I'm wrong or clarify for the audience, it's kind of like a combination of Chat GPT, but you can't use Chat GPT for legal because it's not HIPAA compliant and it's just not ethical because whatever data you put in Chat GPT is out there for the world. It's like getting a whole team of junior attorneys who are going to pull in all this information and catalog it and sort it so you could access it at like they did at that trial. It does medical chronologies, it does demands drafting. So is that kind of like the feature set?
Yeah, we started around creating medical chronologies and demands. That was our sort of step into the industry because 75% of time for law firms is in the medical data. You know, understanding that was our first step. As you go down the rabbit warren, what we've seen is our firms want to access more of their case data, whether that's medical bills or what happens a lot today is understanding depositions, witness testimony, expert reports, even loading in their own notes to create a narrative. And they love it because it's a safe place for them to do that. And it's also bound to their case data. So what Suio allows them to do is look at the entire case in their searches rather than portions that they might have to in other software. So it gives them that access, which is really the whole thing. People want to be able to know that they're accessing data from across their case and not just a segment that might not give them the whole story.
Cool. And so who should use Suio? Like we talked about personal injury, mass tort. Is that really the practice area it's set today?
It is, yeah. We focused on personal injury to begin with. We work with mass tort firms today in a number of mass torts. Where you'll see us is also in workers' comp and social security as we move forward because there's these overlaps in the data that these firms use.
Injury is consistent. And final question, how do you get started with Suio? Like what's involved for the firm to get it set up and get it rolling?
The beauty of Suio is that the value is instantaneous. Firms upload a case via their case connector or they drag and drop the records. We turn around the case in a day or two, and then they're immediately able to work up the case from there. To partner with us, reach out to me or the team. We can talk about your needs and provide a sort of more personalized demo and go from there.
Great, thank you so much. But stick around because we'll take some questions from the audience at the end. We've already got a couple coming in. But next up is Jay from Case Status. And I'm really excited to announce the founder of Case Status, Andy Sievers. We had a great call recently, and Andy, I was just blown away by the story. And I booked Andy to speak at TGR Live. So if y'all haven't heard about our live event, we do an event called Growth Strategies for Law Firms, TGR Live 2025. We booked March 10th and 11th, and I know Ed and Suio hopefully are going to be there, and hopefully you all can join us. But we have some amazing folks already booked, including Andy Sievers, the founder of Case Status. And so Jay's going to tell us today about what Andy explained to me is kind of like a banking app for the consumer to see everything that's going on with their case. And I don't want to steal all this thunder. So Jay, welcome, and you're going to share slides as well, right?
Yes. Thank you for having me, Jay. To begin with, again, I'm Jay. I'm the VP of Data and AI at Case Status. I am actually I've been in the data science field for the past 14, 15 years or so. And with the last 6 in legal tech specifically. I led another legal tech company that was specifically doing data and AI for law firms for a few years as well, right before I joined Case Status. Now I'm basically adding all the secret sauce of AI into the Case Status app as well at Case Status. Like you said, Jay, we are arguably one of the top 5 most important events in a person's life is a legal matter, and there's a gap between the legal matter and the communication or the client engagement piece, and that's where we are actually coming into play. So You can say the banking app, we are also known as the Domino's pizza tracker for legal cases. So it's basically being able to track your case like you would track your pizza. Currently, we are the leading client engagement platform for law firms. We basically help law firms accomplish two things that we are really, really passionate about. One is delivering a client experience that leads to significantly higher client satisfaction and increased revenue through referrals and reviews. And two, basically a great reflection of that is we have, I think last I checked, we had over 30,000 five-star reviews on both app stores. We deliver that experience through our client apps. And two, promoting tremendous operational efficiencies in client engagement. Those are the two things that we really focus. I'll tell a little bit more about how we do it. We do that basically by meeting clients and your staff where they are. So again, your clients expect to see us, spend about 4 to 5 hours a day on their phone and on the apps. So we created an amazing app for them to be able to track their cases. And on the staff side, all your cases are automatically synced with case status. And you have the option to use a web portal or the Chrome add-on that pops up on the side of the screen. So you don't even need to leave your case management system. But I think, let me explain a little bit about the client onboarding experience and how easy it is. So basically, as soon as you add a case on your case management system, your client would receive a text message from Case Status Platform, where they would have a download link that would direct them to the appropriate app store. Then they simply download the app, punch in their phone number. They will receive a one-time verification code, and that's it. So basically at that point, they're in the system, connected to your case management system too. Any updates you make on the case management system, depending on how you set it up, is automatically going to go to your clients too. It's incredibly easy to be on and has a really low barrier to entry. It's actually the same thought process that companies like Uber and a lot of other companies have used to onboard hundreds of millions of users. From there, if they have the app, they'll be able to self-serve. So they would see a firm branded interface with your logo and color scheme on the application. At the top, they can see their checklist items. They can see the journey of their, their client journey and where they are in that legal journey. More often than not, these stages are mapped directly to the stages of your master case management system process, or like stages. So as you advance a case in your case management system, we will notify the client on their mobile app. If they don't download the app, clients can still communicate with staff via text messaging. So that is still integrated with the case management system per our direct integration. Just they won't be able to self-serve. So if you can encourage the clients to interact with the app from the beginning, they'll usually get their questions answered. Actually, I was looking at those numbers on the, obviously the numbers guy on the team. And what I found is 93% of the time when people go on the app, they find what they're looking for and they don't even ask any questions. So, my job as the VP of Data and AI is basically, how do I make sure that remaining 7% find what they're looking for too when they go on the app, is the big question. And there are a lot of really exciting features and AI products that we've released and are releasing soon that helps with that, remaining 7%. The only other pieces we get asked a lot about the multilingual community in the legal industry. So we basically enable communications with over 138 languages that actually allows you to communicate with people that you don't speak the same language with. So our app is automatically going to understand that language difference, and we just will be able to translate any of your message, your native language, into the language of the client. automatically. So like why is the client experience important? Like why do we focus on this? So I was looking at the Clear Trends report the other day. They have a lot of really good information. I highly encourage everyone in the legal world to take a look at that report. It comes out once a year. It gives you a lot of really good industry-wide trends and information. I found this like really interesting chart that says they basically asked legal clients about how they make hiring decisions. What they found is 52% of the hiring decisions are based off of client reviews and referrals. 16% is based on response time. And the average response time currently is 48 hours in the legal industry. I think it's the worst in all of the service industries out there, as far as I know. So basically, a total of 68% of all client hiring decisions are based off of either reviews, referrals, or the response time. So we play in both of these areas, and the value of knowing, how your clients are feeling about you, how their experience goes, is really important. We measure that throughout the entire process. When they interact and when they're on an app, we constantly make sure like they're happy, and measure what we call a net promoter score of like how much of a fan your client is. So again, the main idea is twofold over there. Strike while the iron is hot, and ask for a review or referral. And then two, triage love scores, show them love and personalization, and get them to increase their individual net promoter score. The good news is again that like we did that from the beginning. This just allows you to really listen and connect with your clients. You're building basically an army of people that really support and think about you, that would refer cases to you. Within our app, there's also an easy way to refer other people to your law firm too. So if they're really happy, which we continuously measure, they can actually refer you more clients, which we have seen as well. One of our really large firms actually went from a referral a day to 6 referrals a day after switching over to case status. A really large firm. So there's a lot of value in measuring that client experience. We integrate with most of the main case management systems out there, and we continue to expand. But again, like I mentioned, you can use Chrome add-on. You don't need to go to the portal as well if you want to stay within your case management system. So we continuously again expand our integration management systems, but it's likely that we already integrate with what you use. Some of the really exciting products that we have released recently, or also like in the works, our flagship AI product is called Recommended Responses. So this is a product that I'm really proud that I was a part of as well. As basically whenever someone asks a question, we use your firm's data, message templates, your previous conversations with that person, your staff on the case, your website and SEO content to draft a response within less than 5 seconds. So this is basically going through hundreds of pages of documents and then drafting you an answer within 5 seconds. It's also predicting what the best response would be. It provides you 3 options. You can select the one that fits the most and edit it right before you send it. There are also quick actions right there for you to be like, make it shorter, more professional, more casual, make editing the content a breeze, and then like you can fit the tone that you desire. And you're able to upload, download a response, and then like our AI basically keeps learning in the background. So we're really excited about this feature, and we're seeing tremendous use we released, I think, over 6 months ago, and significant amount of usage, and we expand, improve this product even more. The other like AI products that are in the works or that are coming soon, we're working on some case sentiment. So we're trying to predict basically how people feel based on how they use the app, how they interact with the app. That includes like the sentiment and tone on the message, as well as overall case sentiment. So predicting how the clients feel about you and your firm, even before they tell you how they feel, is the main idea. So there's we give the famous example of someone is waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning and looking at the app, and I'm like checking it 5 times. That means they're frustrated, and that's a valuable data point that we pull into products or AI products like this. Like I mentioned, over 100 languages. We power two-way communication with people independent of what the 2 languages might be. So we automatically understand your language and the client language, and allow you to translate with the click of a button. You're using Google's neural engine in the background for this, and really proud that this was actually one of the top requests from our clients. Finally, a few examples of clients. Lon Stefani, their average response time is 5.4. Again, the industry average was 48, significantly lower than the industry average. And you can see their average feedback score is 9.1. I think they got like 30 or 40% uplift in their Google reviews. Their NPS score is a 71. So this is again a measure of how happy your clients are. I'll just tell very quickly what NPS is. So if someone is rating you a 9 or a 10, they are your promoters. If they rate you a 7 or an 8, they're your passives. And if they rate you 0 to 6, they're your detractors. So this has been studied in the world of marketing for a very long time. And basically your promoters minus the detractors gives you your NPS score. This is a measure of how many promoters and how many detractors you have. And like you're trying to maximize the promoters, minimize the detractors. So Lon Stefani got a 71. And I also want to say we just released our client satisfaction awards this year. So this is an annual award that we give to the best law firms out there when it comes to taking care of their clients. Lon Stefani was one of them, one of the winners this year. Another one, Best law firm, was a super user of our platform. Recent implementation, really beating a lot of the other law firms when it comes to service. 3.7 average response time, 72 net promoter score, and they already saved close to 500 hours within the first 3 months of implementation with case status. So we also track the time savings. Just a quick overview of where we are as a company. This year, particularly has been very exciting for us and for case status. So we recently raised our Series B round of 19.7 million, expanding our team. We are certified great place to work. We won the best business of law app from over 250 integrations that Clio has. Made it to Inc. 5,430 in the list, and I think we are about 40 out of all software companies. Got our SOC 2 Type 2 security certification, which is the gold standard for software security. And the year isn't even over yet, so been a really exciting year.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and if you want to see an interactive demo of our product, please scan the QR code. We'd love to hear where you are in your client journey. And yeah, we'd love to help you connecting that last mile of communication and engagement with your clients.
Great. Well, thanks, Jay. As you guys now are accustomed, I got a couple questions. So the
Sure.
first one, I really like the fact that you can track your case like tracking your pizza, because I unfortunately had a couple car accidents, and but that's the bad part. The good part is I got to learn a little bit about what our clients go through. And I constantly had questions like, after the MRI, did my lawyer have the MRI? What did it say? What was he doing with it? Did he get it to the neck surgeon? Right? Like, it was like, I didn't need neck surgery, thank God. But
Yeah.
all those questions, I'd call him. He'd say, "Oh, I'll ask my paralegal or legal assistant," and then I'd never hear back, and it's a long story. So how does the app answer those type of questions?
So that recommended responses feature that we built, again, is using a lot of data sources, and we continue to expand that into other data sources. So it basically, as soon as it receives that question, it's going to look at all the data it has access to, draft a response, and it would be basically coming in front of a paralegal or an attorney. They would review what the response looks like, and then be able to say, all right, this looks great, send it over to the client. So significantly reduce time to do research in terms of what an answer might look like for the user. So it's basically getting it out there. One really, again, exciting feature that we are currently working on is understanding priority and message urgency. So some of the questions are more urgent than others. So we are now working towards this idea of a triage AI engine that prioritizes all these questions and tasks. So as an attorney and paralegal, if I'm dealing with a lot of cases, I know what questions to answer first or tackle first, than others. So combining the two gives a lot of power.
Okay, cool. And one of the other case studies Andy shared with me, the firm got like 6 times more referrals from clients. How does that work? Just because of happy clients?
Yeah, so telling a little bit more about the product. So when there are case state changes on our product, we usually send a real quick survey of how the users feel about the experience so far. And that's basically, we call that the customer satisfaction score. And towards the as you progress the case, your loss score becomes your net promoter score. So you're able to predict and see how your clients feel, and that's when you can actually have a conversation with them and get more reviews, get more referrals. So like, you really solicit that information. Even like having that friendly conversation of like, looks like your experience is great so far, and then basically get into like reviews and referrals. So that's the
So that's a great time to shoot over the Google referral link, the Google review link, but obviously referrals too.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and don't go anywhere, because we'll got some questions coming in. Oh, I see Michael's saying, is there a place to see the video again? Yeah, all the videos are on our YouTube channel, 10goldenrules.com, and click to YouTube. And last but certainly not least today is Kellen Brown and this product called Crystalnose. Now, this one is for everybody. So even if you're not a law firm and you got this far in the webinar, I don't know why you did, but this is like kind of like my secret weapon, and I'm sharing it today. And think about it from a sales or relationship perspective. If you are able to find out exactly the way someone thinks and exactly the way someone buys in a sales scenario, it would be like, oh my God, I've got this amazing secret weapon. And this tool is so cool because it pulls up everybody's disc profile from their LinkedIn. And I want to tell this story really, really quickly. Like, a very good friend of mine, Josh Nelson, runs a mastermind called Seven Figure Agency that I participate in. And I was demoing how much I love this product on his stage. And I showed an example of Josh's LinkedIn. And I was able to talk all about his personality characteristics and how I deal with him if I was doing business with him. And everyone's like nodding their head. Okay, that's Josh. Then I had a picture from his wife, Yesenia's LinkedIn. And Yesenia hadn't updated her LinkedIn in 15 years. So it was a 15-year-old job. It was a 15-year-old picture with extremely limited amount of data in the LinkedIn profile. But yet the tool was still able to give me a very clear description of her personality and how to sell to her and how to do business with her. And everybody was completely, shocked that the tool was so powerful. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kellen Brown to tell you about him, a little bit about his own background and Crystalnose.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, my name's Kellen Brown. I'm CSM over here at Crystal. I've been working with Jay and 10 Golden Rules on how they're using Crystal and how they can use it to better increase their communication efficiency. So without further ado, I will share my screen now. And as Jay was saying, first thing that we look at is personality data. So we use personality data in order to make, again, making that communication effort a little bit more easy. So a lot of times they say the most important 5 seconds of a conversation can be the first 5 seconds. So it's nice to know whether you're going into a conversation, if you're dealing with somebody that's super analytical, somebody that's super outgoing, just to give yourself a little bit of a prep for that. As Jay was saying, we look at the DISC personality framework. So you can see on the left, there's 16 slices in this pie. But as for beginners, it's easy to look at those main 4. So we have our D dominance, our I influence, our S steadiness, and then our C conscientious. I know there's tons of different parallels that you can apply to this. It's funny that the LinkedIn post was a legal eagle, because birds are oftentimes used to correlate DISC types as well, and D types fall in that eagle category, funny enough. So I know Jay is a D type captain. So looking at that LinkedIn piece of the puzzle, in that journey, when you're digging into somebody's personality, there's a few different ways that you can go about getting that. The toughest but more rigid would be through the assessment. So we have an actual assessment that you can take, but oftentimes that's tough to do with somebody. So something that we'll do is we have a Chrome extension that'll look into somebody's LinkedIn page, and we can make those predictions based off of the information that's there. So we can see here on the right-hand side, Jay is a D captain, decisive, fast-paced, and assertive. First thing that we'll leverage is some high-level do's and don'ts on how to communicate with Jay. Again, this is just that high level. We go in a little bit deeper in the actual Crystal platform, so we can get into things like, what are Jay's behaviors? What are his drainers? What energizes him? And then we have these quick meeting tips. So on the right-hand side, of course, those things are a little bit more broad. Things to just kind of keep in mind as you're going through conversations. But then if you're going into a meeting where, for this example, it's convincing them to hire you, we'll surface those 3 high-level do's and don'ts. But this can go down as simple as saying thank you to somebody, how somebody wants to be told no, how to gather feedback from that person. This is where you start to see that impact in your conversation styles. So just a quick example, when I was going through and showing my slides to Jay before this, as an S type and a C type, I had words and words and information, kind of information overload. As a D type, he's saying, all right, let's cut it out, cut out the fat, just get to the point and show the tool because it's cool as it is. So to kind of bump forward, and I want to share this with everybody that's on the call today, but we have playbooks. So first thing we're looking at is when I'm looking at Jay's LinkedIn, obviously you get those one-on-one communication styles. Once you get more people involved in these meetings, things can start to kind of differ. So Obviously, adding more people into the conversation complicates things. This is just a screenshot, but the link that I put in the chat is accessible to everybody that has access. You'll be able to see here kind of that visual representation of what it means for me to be an S type and for Jay to be a D type. Again, this goes back to DISC and the personality framework. Something that we offer too is training on those things. So just to make sure it's better understood. The cool thing about DISC as well, when we're looking at this, is that it's not something that's new to you. It may just be something that you haven't thought of. Everybody's had an interaction with a waiter or somebody at the grocery store where maybe a joke didn't hit like you thought it was gonna at the time, or it just feels like you're pulling teeth with the person. This is kind of peeling back that layer and giving a more analytical approach as to why that could be. Another interesting thing about these playbooks is that it can get as granular, again, kind of like those quick tips, as saying thank you, brings in everybody and shows how they'll collaborate on a project, how you can convince them to hire you, how you can gather information, etc. So we do have CRM enrichment. We also could do a case management system. So I've heard that thrown around today. And if there is an API plugin, this is something where we can put our data fields into those data fields as well. So I know it's annoying to go from one screen to another, one platform to another. So being able to make that easily accessible for you is one of our goals and priorities. Another thing that we have is virtual meetings. So whether I'm on Zoom or whether I'm on Google Meet, I can have this little bumper here that will identify the person based on their email address and name. So if they're part of that invite, they'll have this little banner shown up if we can get a personality prediction on them. Again, that's going to recognize their email address and make a prediction off of public information that's tied to that. So just keeping things really just to enhance that social awareness and social intelligence as you're dealing with people. And the last integration I'll show is our calendar integration. So what this is going to do, look at your calendar, you connect everything. It's going to make those predictions based on those email addresses and then shoot this email to you beforehand. With this, you have links right to those individual profiles, and you can build a playbook right from there as well. One of the things I love about this is something that I can just open up 10 minutes before a meeting that I have, and I can just see based on, once you get your DISC muscle worked up a little bit, you'll have a better understanding and better idea of how you want to go into that meeting, how you can better prepare. So just a quick screenshot of everything that we offer. Again, that dashboard, looking at somebody's profile, you can go as deep as you'd like. The first step of that phase is taking the personality assessment yourself so that you can understand your communication style, and then you can track that with the people that you're communicating with. A Chrome extension, kind of the engine behind everything. So being able to follow you from your CRM to LinkedIn to your email inbox and so on. Your email inbox will have that writing assistant. This is more of a, think of like a Grammarly or a spell check, but kind of analyzing your text in order to cater to the person that you're talking to. You can see here, so chat about, to be more formal, and say discuss. Then again, those playbooks, that API and CRM enrichment, virtual meetings, and calendar integration. So with that, I'm happy to open it up to questions or hand it back over to you, Jay. I appreciate you letting me take the time here.
Yeah, I cheat because since I got the mic and the control, I'm going to ask the questions first. But we'll go to a panel of questions. So please submit your questions through the Q&A or the chat. And those of you on LinkedIn, just post a question, and then Alyssa will get those over to us. I'm also going to cheat because I've got the I can share the screen. So this is the example I talked about, and this is my good friend Yesenia. And this was there was a job that she left years ago from 2012, and a picture that was like from 2012 or something. And she had 3 kids and raised the kids and still worked in the business. And now she's a, very awesome part of this business. But how did it know? Like when I said that Yesenia was a C analyst, she's accurate, and she's down here in the C conscientious, address their concerns, use specific blunt language, don't be overly emotional, and like, everybody was shocked, like how crystal clear it was, to use the pun of crystal. So how did it know? How did it pull from 2012? I guess it wasn't 15 years; it was a 12-year-old profile. How did you know?
So based on this profile, I will say there are some times where there's not enough information on somebody's profile and we can't draw a prediction. So we won't just throw a dart at the board and see if it sticks. So based on this information here, you can see that she was an account manager for 11 years. So that would be a heavy pull and a heavy indicator. And there's actually an article tied at the very bottom of these Chrome extensions that will show the deviations of how we're able to make those predictions and some of those signals that go with it.
Yeah, and also part of the answer that you guys have explained to me is it's not just LinkedIn. You guys have tons of tools that you're pulling from. And I think that was really the answer, because there's probably not enough data here to give the answer. And then the other thing I like to share is like, this is my secret weapon on top of the secret weapon, because I'm not smart enough to understand disk profiles and memorize like what a D was and what an I was. But like if you make it really simple for me, because I'm a D, okay, I'm a full-on eagle. Like I'm the direct, persistent, adventurous one, but I'm not gonna like memorize all this stuff. So there's this great book called Taking Flight. It basically drills the DICS down to birds. So the eagle is dominant, direct, decisive, and I can remember that. The C is the conscientious, concise, and correct. That they're compliant, they're diplomatic. You definitely would have like CPAs, accountants down here. And then I find actually a lot of attorneys fall in this CD. So a lot, especially the firm owners, like the people I'm talking to. So if you want a quick cheat and you just want to generalize like how to deal with most of the owners of personal injury law firms, almost all of them are CDs. So they're dominant because the partner who's like the business person has some of these direct characteristics. And then they're attorneys, right? They got through law school. They're the wise owls. They're compliant, courteous, diplomatic, fact finders, right? And then the I's are typically the salespeople, and the S's are the doves, supportive and steady. Do you want to just comment on that, Kellen?
Yeah, it's exactly like you said. It's once you get a better understanding of DISC and you make it a secondary language for yourself, you start to pick out these things very easily. It's very instinctual. I think you'll find as you're going through it. Like I said, you go to a restaurant, you see a waitress or a waiter, and they usually bubbly, and right from there you're like, oh, that's an I type. Got it. Other times you might have a D type where it's like, I need to cut back, slow down what I'm saying, trim the fat, and just get right to the point. So yeah, it's a lot of people devise strategies based again on those D, I, S, and C's, the main 4. But then it can get a little bit more complicated or granular once you get in that DC area, like you were saying, how there's a little mix of both.
So one of the things that was new to me from Crystalnose, and I've spent a lot of time with you guys and met with 3 or 4 of your coworkers, is that first 5 seconds. And you said if you know how to deal with someone in that first 5 seconds, what do they say? You often decide like if you're going to hire someone or do business with someone in the first 5 seconds. So how do you enact that? Like if you have the bird types or something, or the disc types, what do you do in those first 5 seconds?
Yeah. Again, it's really dependent on the situation. The way I like to look at it is like if somebody says, hey, we're going out to a restaurant tonight, get ready. Are we going to a wine bar? Are we going to a sports bar? Applebee's? Like what do we need to dress for the occasion for? So I think just being prepared. A lot of times people drill it down from pace. So the D's and I's tend to have a higher pace, and then the S's and C's have a slower pace. So, really kind of gauging that excitement when you go into a room. That's kind of the way that I like to frame it and look into it. And then similarly, being prepared for those, secondary or tertiary type situations, whether it's a C type, I know I need to have some sort of data ready for them.
Okay, great. Well, we got some questions coming in through LinkedIn and the chat and the Q&A. So I'll go first. The first question was from Jerry, and I guess it's for Ed. Are there any case management systems that Suio does not integrate with?
So today, the key ones are Litify, Filevine, Smart Advocate, GrowPath. On our radar is Clio, Neos, Case Pacer. These are things that we're looking at as well. So we'll be adding these as we go. And somebody else asked, how easy is it to integrate? It's pretty straightforward. That we've automated that process, and it's just a matter of getting specific details. Like with Filevine, you need a secret and a key, and then you're up and running. And then the use case is just you just need an identifier for a case, so case ID or a number, and then you see the document
links.
Upload. Yeah.
Great. I always like to restate things sometimes because it helps. In learning, it's like, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. But Jay had a really good explanation of Net Promoter Score, and Carrie had a question of how you measure Net Promoter Score. But so here's, to me, Net Promoter Score, like we recently did a customer satisfaction survey on a scale from 0 to 10. And a 10 is someone who's like absolutely in love with your firm. And they'll recommend you, and they'll go out of their way to recommend you. The 9s are still like, super in love with you. And, if somebody else calls them for a meeting, they probably won't take the meeting. But the 7 and 8s will probably take a meeting. So like if in our case, if they get a call from another agency and they offer them a free audit, they'll take that meeting. Or, in Suio's case, like they hear about Suio, even if they're really happy with their demand product or their medical chronology product, they'll probably take the meeting with Suio. So, and then, obviously the 1s to 4s are actively looking for a replacement, and the 4s to 6 or 7 are kind of in the middle. Like they'd take a meeting and they're thinking about changing, but they haven't actively started looking for a change. So, assuming, Jay, that you like my description as well, how do you all measure Net Promoter Score, and then what can you do with that data?
Yeah, to give a little bit more details to it. So let's say you wanted to notify your clients about, let's say, like 6, 7 stages of your case updates. So you set up automations within case status. You define what kind of updates you want to send when there are phase changes, and like those are going to be automatic. And you can also set up when you solicit that information in terms of the rating out of 0, on a range of 0 to 10. So basically, after every state change, the rating, if you see it going down, to your point, to a 1 or 2 or a 3 or a 4, we call it like up to 6, then like something is not going right, and that's like when you need to get in and engage, so before it's too late for them to change. So we continuously measure that information throughout the case. But in terms of the NPS specific calculation, again, like this has been studied for a long time. The 9s and 10s are going to promote you. They're having absolutely fantastic client experience with you. But maybe 1 or 2 really small things, those are going to promote you. The 0 to 6, if someone asks those 0 to 6 if they like you, they're going to say no. They're your detractors. 7 and 8, they're going to be like, it was okay, but I would also look at some other options. So this again has been studied for a long time. So basically, let's say if you have 100 clients, the number of promoters minus the number of detractors is your Net Promoter Score. That's like how much of a propulsive power that your audience is going to have to push you up versus pull you down is basically the calculation logic there. We continuously measure that number and give you that rating. So it's basically how the NPS score works. It has been used in a lot of industries. It's a little bit new to the legal industry, but we are leading the charge on that.
Fantastic. Question from Monica: how can law firms use Crystalnose?
That's a great question. Jay, you had alluded to it before, but Crystal's a tool for everybody. It's very interesting. I have customers dealing from concrete distribution to law firms. So it's to schools, like it's all over the board. So I'd mentioned it prior, but the first step in all of that is to take the DISC assessment yourself, and you get a better understanding of yourself. And then you can start looking at your teammates and see how maybe you have a teammate that you're just not meshing with. There's kind of those again, those conversations like pulling teeth. You can start to peel back. You can start to see, what are my blind spots? What are their blind spots? And then you can work together on it. And again, a service that we offer as well is DISC training. So getting your entire team on, making sure everybody kind of learns the ropes of it, and making the most out of those insights that we provide.
That's great. Attorney Justin Lovely, I call him the AI attorney. And if you haven't listened to his webinar, you got to. Again, go to 10 Golden Rules and go to our YouTube channel. And Justin spoke at our conference last year and was absolutely the big hit of the conference. I thought I was a good speaker, but this guy blew everyone away. And he's actually the first one who told me about Crystalnose. So he's an attorney. So he uses it, every time he looks up the LinkedIn and finds out what the opposing counsel's like. What's the folks at the insurance company like? Right. And he knows, like, if they're super detail oriented, he's going to provide him a bunch of details. And he's going to address the case that way. If they're a D like me and get to the facts, he's going to get to the bottom line offer right away, because he knows that's the way that person thinks. He also uses it for hiring. So what an incredible tool for an attorney, and frankly, for all of us. All right. Jen asked, how easy is it to integrate Suio with other tools and platforms like case management and CRM software?
So we have like a sort of apps page, and you go and connect the app. There are some little details I mentioned earlier just about, so as I said, in Filevine's case, you get a secret and a key, and that's just information you plug in. But after that, it's sort of like a 5-minute little connection, and then you're away, and you can start uploading cases. The user experience is just a matter of using a client ID number, depending on the practice management system. You see the case files, and you can just simply press select all, or just choose the cases, the documents you want to process.
I answered this earlier, but Michael said, is there a place to see the video? I got here late. And absolutely, this video and all our videos are on the 10 Golden Rules YouTube channel, or it's not on yet. we got to press save, and then we got to produce it and get it up on the YouTube channel, but be up in a couple days. Here's a good question about from Mark about adopting new technologies and using AI, but I'm gonna adapt that question a little bit to answer that question and make it my own. And maybe I'll pose this to all three panelists. Kellen, you're first in my Brady box squares. What is AI? Like, dumb it down to the lowest common denominator and explain, like, how does AI help you all deliver simple solutions to people?
Sure. And that's the question, isn't it, of the last however long AI has been available. You can nitpick that and go back 20 years if you wanted. In my area of with Crystal and everything, it's there's a lot of affirmation that has to go into it. So and I think that first step is taking your personality assessment yourself, predicting yourself, and seeing how well does that align with it. I think for anybody in any field to say, we mentioned it before, using ChatGPT for legal files, it's a little bit unethical, to just look at it and take it as it is. So obviously you have to have that human factor involved in it. And affirm some things. And that's how I approach AI, whether it's for my own personal use or whether it's for the Crystalnose aspect of it is, you still have to have that understanding of disk when I go in and talk to somebody and see, oh, maybe that prediction was off a little bit. Now I can adjust it based on my own knowledge. So that's how I view it.
And Jay, you want to go next?
Yeah, so when people ask me this question, what I say is, so when people wanted to go far away, we first created bikes, and then we made cars, and then we made airplanes, and then we made rockets. We continuously try to go far. And AI is basically the same idea with access or speed to access information. So we, one of the biggest hits in the last 25 years was Google as a search engine. And what it really enabled is like us to be able to find information a lot quicker. Before that, we had libraries. Now we have, this AI knowledge base that allows us to find what we're looking for a lot more efficiently. So in short, AI is just a tool for us to, access information a lot faster. It's basically, I can say like Google on steroids, it's personalized to what you need.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Kirk.
I think Jay did a great job there with the sort of analogies. I was talking at a conference recently and I sort of used the analogy of the washing machine. Prior to the washing machine, we do the hand wash. And maybe some might argue that the hand wash does a better job, but you're definitely not going to compete with a washing machine for its speed and efficiency and consistency. And you can make the same kind of comparison in terms of some of the ways that we've discussed today that AI can help in our daily life at work, or just whether it's asking ChatGPT to give its recommendations on a 2-day trip to Florence. It's and as Jay said as well, it's Google on steroids. Google will give you the millions of results and kind of give you a rating. What ChatGPT is doing is giving you the answer, like it's giving you a answer so you can get on with your day. And so it feels much more effective. I feel like we're being trained again on how to use a tool. We were trained how to use Google, find me a restaurant. What are the restaurants here that Italian restaurants nearby? ChatGPT has sort of taken it to a new level. We're learning how to use it in so many ways in our day-to-day. And in many ways, we're just getting started. So it's a very exciting time.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any other questions that I don't feel like we've covered. So with that, guys, I'm going to say thank you so much. And please, if you're watching this some point in 2025, well, come to TGR Live 2025, our live event. But more seriously, please, give a shout out to Kellen or Jay or Ed or myself on socials and thank us. If you made it this far, hopefully got some value. And, I always like to, go back to the future and give us a shout out on the socials. So guys, thank you so much. And everyone have a great day, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, everyone.